Welcome everybody. My name is Jain from Australia, and I'm really excited to present to you two parts on all this amazing knowledge on the harmonic of 111. This is a 40-year collection of all my most special references to how the number 111 just keeps cropping up all the time. And this part one is going to be basically how it refers to the golden ratio. This is my passion. I've been doing a lot of research on how the golden ratio is ubiquitous. It appears everywhere. So in this section here, I want to show you all references to the golden ratio. So our best example here, the dominant diagram that you see here is the shadow of a three-dimensional dodecahedron. There's 12 pentagons here. And what's interesting is called the in sphere. So not the sphere that goes around this, but from the center to the center of this face. If we could draw another sphere that touches the inside of the pentagons, it's called the in sphere. So the in sphere has a special wavelength. So if the edge is 1, the radius from the center to that point in the middle of the pentagon is 1.11. So I've written that over here. So it's actually the in sphere radius is 1.113. But in harmonics, we're allowed to move the decimal. So 1.113 becomes 111.3. And if we round it off, it's just 111. So this is a beautiful reference because Plato referred to this as the fifth element, the spirit molecule. Okay, so that's why the shadow, if you shined a light on the dodecahedron, you get a 10-sided shape called the decagon, and that's the transverse cut of DNA. So what I just explained to you is that there's a harmonic 111 connection to the DNA molecule. So that's important too. My next best example is a diagram that's over here. This is my best example on harmonic 111, and this is the golden rectangle. And I wanted to show you another chart, how the golden rectangle extrudes this critical wavelength called 111. So it comes from a chart over here, and this is the golden rectangle here, and it shows we start off with a unit square, but what we're going to do, we want to get that point here from here. If this is 1, this distance here is 0.618. So what that means is that if we open up our golden calipers, you can see that the distance from there to here is 1, and this distance over here is what's called 0.618. So 0.618 is the critical ratio that allows spin and vortexes to happen. So just to show you where the 111 code is in that, so we have the unit square, and what I do is I bisect the 1 by 1 square in half. So now I'm going to take this diagonal from here to there. That's called the diagonal of half the unit square. And as I arc it down, where you see this red arc, that gives me the critical point that now makes the longer length to be 1.618. So that's 1, and this is the 0.618. And all these subsequent diminishing squares is what they find their resolution point here at a sweet spot. So this is called the eye of the spiral. So I just wanted to show you that everything I know is based on the golden ratio, but to get the golden rectangle, which is basically in our hand here, if that's 1, this is 1.618, we can't get it unless we take that diagonal. And that diagonal has a relationship to what's called the square root of 5. So to get this diagonal of 1.118, we had to divide root 5, which is 2.236 by 2, and that's the critical ratio. So this is basically making a reference to the fact that the number 5, we have 5 fingers and the 5 elements, that's part of the codes of creation. So if I was to put two golden rectangles together, so I have to make what's called a template. So I've got one golden rectangle here, and there's another golden rectangle there, but I've merged the two rectangles from left to right so that the eyes of the spirals converge. And when I start doing my compass work and I draw one spiral here, that's going like clockwise, and the other one's going anti-clockwise. So this is the union of counter-rotating fields. So when we draw one golden spiral, it wants to find that vortex, that sinkhole, and this goes the other way. and this is an infinity code. It goes for forever. But what I'm trying to say is that this magical derivation of the love heart symbol could not happen if we didn't align ourselves to what's called harmonic 111. So it's amazing how this number just keeps reappearing all the time. I wanted also to show you, I've got a small chart here. So this is a chart that I did. So there's the phi heart, the two golden spirals that converge there. We've looked at the golden rectangle. I'm coming up to a revelation soon about the 60 code, and I'll show you that in a minute. But I made a note here that there's a pentacle. The pentacle also reveals a very close relationship to 111. So this was a chart where I showed students how to construct the pentagon inside a circle. And what's interesting is that when the edge length is 1, let's have a look. So when the pentagon circumradius is 1, so if I go from the center to that vertex there, so if that's 1 unit, we want to know what the edge length is. So if that's 1, this distance here is a fraction longer than 1. So the edge length of the pentagon is 1.175. 1.175. So if I slide the decimal, it goes to 117.5. So that's called harmonic 117. And the reason why harmonic 117 is interesting is because when we add up the 24 code, when we look at the pattern in the Fibonacci sequence, there's a 24 repeating code in the Fibonacci sequence. So if when we go 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, we take away the number 9 and we end up with an infinitely repeating 24 code that all adds up to 108. And it's actually, the code is actually 108 plus 9. So this repeats 108 plus 9, 108 plus 9. And you can see here that all the opposing pairs, if this was put in a circle, we actually have 12 pairs of 9. So 12 nines are 108. So this is a 108 code plus that 9 makes 117. And we can see here that the harmonic length of these sides is 117 or 1.117. And there's another reference to the golden ratio is that I've made a reference here that when we take the golden ratio, which is 1.618, we can square it, cube it, we can keep multiplying it by itself, and it forms like a staircase. It's called a harmonic, it's called like a harmonic stairway. So we can keep magnifying to the universe, or we can keep dividing by 0.618 and go into the atom. So this is the macro and that's the micro. So I've enlarged this a bit larger. So if we're here, this is our unity consciousness, the point, the 1. There's phi, which is 1.618. If we square it, 2.618 cubed, 4. When we multiply it by 5 times, we end up with another critical wavelength called 11.090. So in mathematics, we're allowed to simplify decimals. So 11.09 is so close to 0.1. So it's really 11.1. And in harmonic maths, we can slide the decimal. So 11.1, slide the decimal to the right, is 111. So this is actually another amazing reference to how 111 just appears no matter where we look in the macrocosm, microcosm. So that's pretty much most of it. Okay, one more reference, just I'll just take these off. I've got another reference before I show you the revelation. I've got over here, I don't know if you can zoom in on this, but there's a small circle here. It's called the golden angle. So when we take the 360 degrees of the circle, when we take 360 degrees of the circle, divide it by 1.618, we end up, so there's the diagram there, and I've done it again here. If we divide the 360 by the golden ratio, we end up with a small section and a larger section. They're in the ratio of like 5 to 8, 8 to 13. It's like the pine cone. So when we look at a pine cone, we notice that there's 8 spirals one way, but 13 going the other way, and that's close to 1.618. So when we divide the circle into a smaller part and a lesser part that are in the ratio of the golden ratio, we have a very important angle here called 137.5. So 137.5 is the number that's famous to the physicists like Einstein and Feynman. They talked about the fine structure constant, and they were obsessed about the reciprocal of 137.5. So I noticed that when I take that means the bigger angle is 360, take away the 137.5, we end up with 222. If I cut that in half, see these two blue sections, each angle here, half of 222 is 111. So this is 111 degrees and that's 111 degrees. And that's in our common symbol that we call the peace symbol. So it's not a great revelation, it's just to show that even if we look at angles based on 360 degrees, that number 111 degrees appears. Another thing, when I showed you that there's a 24 code, I put the 24 code. This 24 code is when we take the Fibonacci numbers. So just go back to the Fibonacci numbers. So when we look at all these Fibonacci numbers, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, it goes infinite. When I take away the number 9 from all these numbers, I get single digits, and they all add up to 108 plus 9, 117. But also we can take away the number 10. So if I take away the number 10 from each Fibonacci number, we're going to end up with a 60 code over here. So just to go back to the 24 code, so it's a string of 24 infinitely repeating numbers. But if I put it in a circle, you can see here that it starts here 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 4, 3, 7. If you look at the red triangle here, that's a 1, and a 1. So there's an equilateral triangle that unites all the oneness in the 24 code. So I call that kind of like the equilateral triangle of oneness. So, and there's actually the opposing triangle that goes through it like a Star of David is 888. So there's a lot of numerical symmetry in these Fibonacci sequence, because the Fibonacci code is the key to everything that I've been talking about. So I just wanted to show you, instead of taking away 9 to get the 24 code, I want to show you the 60 code. So this is the I've written the 60 code here. So this is the final digits of the Fibonacci. They repeat every 60 digits, starting 0, 1, 1. You can see that there's pentagons and hexagons, but what you don't see is that every fifth number is divisible by 5. So I'll take this away. This is just the grid that actually constructs this. So you can see, starting from, there's 4 zeros here. This is the main epiphany that I've had, where not just 3 ones appear, but 4 ones. I call it like the 4 aces or the quad ones. So what I needed to show you was that if we divide the 60 into 12, if every fifth digit is divisible by 5, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0. So we've got 12 golden rays, which are emanating from this solar entity. It's like our third eye of high intuition or knowingness. But what's interesting is the gaps in between. This is this 60 code was revealed by a Frenchman 200 years ago. So this knowledge, this 60 wheel, has been known for 250 years. But what I discovered was that if I looked at the numbers in between the 12 golden rays, let's take this number 1, 1, 2, 3, and the opposing quad numbers is 9, 9, 8, 7. If I was to add 1,123 plus 9,987, the sum of this polarity is 11,110. So that means I've got 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. But in harmonic maths, we're allowed to drop the 0. So we've actually got harmonic 1, 1, 1, 1. That's like the 4 aces. And that's true for every opposing pair. So there's 12 lots of 1, 1, 1, 1. So the whole lot, everything adds up to 66,660, which is harmonic 666. So I just wanted to show you that just from the mere mathematics of nature, what we call the Fibonacci sequence, there's a whole universe of deep ancient knowledge, and it's all just by understanding the symmetry and the patterning. So just wanted to conclude for this part 1 that if you wanted to learn more about 111, because there's a lot more information on this awakening code, please join my webinar, and the link is in this post.